Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar on the 3D experience, or the experience of 3D Experience CATIA, CAD tool overview. Thank you so much for attending. I am Joel Quizon. I'm out of our Denver office. I'm the product strategy manager for the CATIA product line for GoEngineer. You could see my email's right here in case you need to contact me later. For the agenda today, we're going to be going over 3D Experience CATIA. And to start, the base of that is the 3D Experience platform. We'll discuss that a little bit. The base roles that are required for running 3D Experience CATIA. We'll go over the web interface of the platform, then the native apps interface overview of CATIA, and then using CATIA. So part of that, we are going to be doing just part design, surface design, some sheet metal design, a drawing of that, and then also some assembly symmetry. So the main demo set is going to be this motorcycle front, but let's go ahead and see it. So the first area I'm going to go into is the web interface, but a quick discussion on 3D Experience. So the platform is really the basis of everything. The whole idea of the platform is that everyone in the company could utilize it and can perform and work with it. There's two versions, like I stated before in the agenda. There is a cloud version. So that means that Dassault hosts a platform for you, and you basically have access to a tenant. They provide storage space, and they have the whole platform set up for you. And the customer has an administrator that sets up roles and gives access to your employees. So that's the cloud version. The nice thing about that is it's very low IT involvement. It's really meant for smaller or medium-sized companies that don't really want to have a lot of IT involvement. All the software is loaded automatically in the background for you when you launch a program, and it's constantly updating to the newest version. So that's one thing to note about the cloud version currently, is that you're always working with the latest version of the software. But that is a great option for a lot of startups and smaller companies. The other option would be really for bigger companies, what we call an on-premise platform. And the on-premise platform has a lot of IT involvement. So basically, you are setting up a platform on your local servers. Of course, these servers could be cloud servers, but you actually set up a platform locally, and your IT administers it. That is a pretty involved process that requires multiple servers and requires quite a bit to set up. And it is either SQL based or Oracle based, depending on your choice. So those are really the two options. And then the other area that we're going into now is just a web interface. So if you can see my screen, this is just a web address for my platform. And the big area of the interface really is this on the upper left, which is called the compass. And this actually kind of shows you all the roles and apps that you have access to. The way Dassault has packaged the software are based on roles. So a company could just purchase roles based on the employee's role. They've done a really good job of combining the necessary apps required to do that job, so that specific role. So the two base roles that are required for most anything on the platform, the main one is this collaborative business innovator. So that's really just giving access to this web interface and access to your database, basically. The other one that's important when you're a CAD user is this collaborative industry innovator. Now that starts getting into the Innovia product, the PLM portion. So if you are needing to version or revision components or products, also there's areas where you could keep track of your projects, keep track of tasks, and you could even a viewer, a markup area. You even have an area for doing PLM, so you could kind of see where in the workflow your files are in as you're working. So this is the web interface that you could do a lot of stuff. And being a web interface, you could do it anywhere. You could use an iPad, and you could be anywhere and just access it. But the other way is you could also launch your native app, your program from here. So I'm going to go into our CATIA interface. So when I say native app, that means it's a software loaded on your computer. So even though a lot of it is web-based, but CATIA is a big product, you still install the software locally on your computer. So this is, as you can see, the interface is very similar. I still have the same compass, and in that compass I actually access all my apps. So in this case, I'm set up as a mechanical designer. You can kind of see all the apps I have to design components. And then another thing I like to do is I like to set up a favorites area, and you can just drag and drop apps that you're using the most in this area. So you kind of see the other important area I want to point out is this. It basically shows you what app you're in. So it's very important to know what area of the software you're working in to make sure you have the right tools to access. There's the search area, this really powerful search area, and with 6W tags that you could utilize. Basically, you could really narrow down what you're looking for by selecting who, what, where, kind of when type of questions or areas. And then this area to the right is similar to like your file in your menu area. So this is where you start, you save, you go to your settings, you set up your workspaces, your preferences, and then this is how you start new content and save new content or any content. So to get going, we just you kind of see the model here. I have this assembly of this front fork, and I'm just going to start modeling some components. So to speed things up and the main focus here is to kind of give you a quick overview, but also just show you the speed of it. I'm going to open up this caliper body in its own window. You kind of see what I'm going to end up showing a lot is the heads up interface. Just want to show you that I'm not going to be moving my mouse around too much. A lot of context sensitive menus come up, and the one we're going to use a lot is this robot. So by using that robot, if you're familiar with SolidWorks, it's similar to the instant 3D command in SolidWorks. I'm able to just grab this robot and just drag it. So I'm able to just quickly extrude geometry. I could drag to a ruler point, or I could actually also just click on that value and type in my actual value. Just again, quickly do that a little bit more. Just drag out. I could even drag all the way further. And if I want, it is a feature, just like anything. I could double click on it and it brings up the interface for that. And I'm going to select, I want to extrude that to this plane. Accept it. And you could see me manipulate the model. What you're seeing here, the smooth movement, you could use your mouse keys to move it, but I highly suggest a 3D connection, some sort of 3D connection controller. I have a Space Pilot Pro that I'm using. So a combination of that and the mouse is what you're seeing. I'm gonna go ahead and add some draft to this, since this is gonna be a cast part. You're just able to just pick the faces you want to draft, the direction of pull, like to show a preview so you could see where it makes making sure it's cutting the right way, especially the really small drafts. Go into here and add another, add another face here. And just draft that really quickly. Now, I already had a body that was already created. I'm just gonna show that. That's a separate body, but I could go in and define it, set that up as a union. It's called a union trim. So it's kind of nice. I'm able to just select the faces to remove quickly, and it removes that portion of that model. Let's just do a few more features here. The first few were pads or extrudes. These are going to be just cuts, just dragging them out, just doing a quick cut there. And after that, let's just add some more geometry. I need some pockets. Gonna, again, context sensitive menu. Brings up the icons that it thinks you're wanting to use based on your selection. So I'm gonna go ahead and sketch, and it automatically goes to a normal 2. I could flip that so I could see the edges of the circles, because I'm gonna make some concentric circles here. And it's again, quickly bring up the context sensitive menu just to bring up our constraints, put in a few dimensions. Just quickly constrain these. And then when you're done, just get out of the sketch and continue to use the robot to go quickly. Now that I've cut those out, let's go ahead and use that robot again for other features. So when you bring up the robot, pay attention to this control area. So that's just a lot of global modes. This is going to be a local mode, goes into the fillet mode, and I could just start grabbing that and doing a quick what if. So when you're doing like what if scenarios and just wanting to model something up fairly quickly, great way to work. Put in a value there. Let's go in and do that again here. I could have edited that as well and just added this edge, but just to show that step again and accept that. Now that I have those, another thing I could quickly do here is let's just go in, and there is a tool called Auto Fillet. This one, if you just want to take the whole thing and fillet all of it, and I could do that. I could just go in and let's pick the faces that I do not want to fillet. So these faces are going to be machined, so they don't need to be filleted. You could do a quick preview, accept it. There we go. So quickly did those fillets. Kind of see it does a really good job of just blending the fillets for you. After that, let's just put in a few holes. Typical feature here, just picking the axis and the face to put it into, and just pop it in there. So with anything, if you, in the function, in the CATIA here, if I double click on a function, it stays in that function until you unselect it. So the nice thing is I'm in the hold mode, so I'm just gonna pick faces, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit enter, and I could quickly go in and just keep populating those, creating those holes without having to go back into that function over and over. And then here, this one is going to be a different size. So I'm just going to type in a new diameter, and there we go. And then make sure you click on that same icon to get out of it. Now, these are all individual features. I could go in and modify this to be a counterbore. You have standards so that are default. So you can select a standard and use a size, define it based on that. So that library is part of it. Go ahead and accept it. So it just changed that right away. The nice thing, this is a really great tool. If I realize I want to make some other ones the same, it's called Semantic Painter. So I just click on the feature, go to Semantic Painter. Now I'm able to go in, it shows what similar features are, and I start picking the ones I want to change to that. And basically it's a copy, right? Copying that into here. And speaking of copy, I could use that robot as well. So let's go ahead and pick this hole, go into here, make sure I change a few things here. I want it to be in global mode and pick here. Now I'm just holding my control key and dragging, and I move the robot to this edge so it moves along that edge, and then I could go ahead and type in, or let me just accept that, and then double click on that and change. Sorry, excuse me, change that value to 35, minus 35 for that. So really quickly, I modeled this part up fairly quickly. Of course, I had some sketches already predefined, but just wanted to kind of show you mainly the robot command and how quickly you could just develop parts and come up with parts. And I'll continue to do that. Let's go back here. And then now let's go in and take this front fender and let's open this up in this new app. Now, an important step here is going back up to this top area. I'm in part design mode. This is going to be all surfacing. So notice I don't have a lot of surfacing tools here. So I need to make sure I go into my generative wireframe and surface design tool. So now I am in my generative wireframe and surface. If I look at my tools, these have changed so that there are all the surfacing tools. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to be doing, again, is using the robot. I'm going to go ahead and pick this, make sure I'm here. Let me just drag this over to this axis and then rotate it. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, let me just do that. Let me get rid of that and redo that again, sorry. There it is. So just grab that and move it over. I'm going to take this one and just extrude it. So just doing an extrude. Now I'm holding my control key to do an extrude midplane. So that was just a quick control key to extrude it based via your midplane. And again, I'm just holding my control key, picking both surfaces and say, let's trim those, trim that geometry. And it just trims those together. Let's add some rounds, quickly let's just do a surface fillet here. I'm gonna pick both edges and I'm gonna do a variable radius fillet. Let's change this middle fillet radius to 50. There you go. Grab this one, continue to just build this fender here. This time I'm gonna trim using this, and I'm picking the geometry that I want to keep. And then I'm dragging it to that as well. So quickly do that. And let's just go ahead and add a quick fillet. There we go. Let's finish this up by just cutting off a few more. I'm just going to continue to do these functions. This time I'm going to split the geometry. And the important thing there is I pick this one. The first entity you pick is what's going to get split. Going to go ahead and I could hide that surface. Let's just take this geometry here. And use this to split again. Sorry, that one is not, if it's not doing that, let's just go ahead and easily just go into the split mode. Sorry, let's just go into the split mode here. There it is, and let's just hide that. So there it is, a really quick model of half of the fender. Since it is going to be symmetric, let's use that knowledge to just model half of it. I'm going to go ahead and hide the wireframe to just to make it cleaner and just go into my transform mode, or actually in my essentials mode here, and we're just going to go ahead and mirror this product. Do the symmetry, accept that. So there you go. And now it's two surfaces. So I'm going to go ahead and just join them with the context sensitive menu. Just did that really quickly. And if I wanted to go ahead, let's make this into a volume by going in and selecting that and giving it a thickness. Let's do 5 millimeters. But there it is. Now you just created a solid piece from there. Continue to do more components. Let's go in and do a sheet metal bracket. So this one is going into the sheet metal function. This headlight bracket, let's go ahead and open this up. And for sheet metal, you're gonna see again is I need to make sure I go to my sheet metal app. Let's go make sure I change over to sheet metal. So I get the correct tools to do sheet metal. The first step is I'm gonna make sure my setup, my default sheet metal parameters are set. So wall thickness, bend radius, like extremities, things like that. So you could define that and then let's start with a pad or a wall there, and then the lighting on this one's a little different. So I'm just gonna change this to a pure white, so it's a little easier for you guys to see. And then also I could change the display modes a little bit. I want to show the edges so they're a little easier to see. Let me also display the planes so they're available. And quickly sketch on that piece of geometry. Let's just draw a couple. These are just a couple construction lines I'm going to define. You really utilizing it to trim the circle. And I'm going to go ahead and constrain this. And just now that I have that geometry, I'm going to pick this circle, the construction circle, and project it. So that's, if you're a SolidWorks user, that's like the convert entities command. And then from there, I'm able to just go ahead and trim that piece of geometry. And let me just kind of hide that so you could kind of see what's left. Get out of the sketch as well. So there it is. It's just that portion of the circle that I'm going to go in and create as a rolled wall. I could also just click on it, and that's one of the options as well that comes up. So that's just a rolled wall, making sure it's in the right direction, except that. From here, I'm able to just add a fillet or a bend between the two surfaces to do a bend. If I accept the default, my default bend radius is 4. I could always easily change that. I just go into the parameters that are defined and clear that and be able to type in the value that I want. So it's just a bigger radius there. Let's add a few more features, like a hole here centered. And just 8 millimeter diameter. Let's also put in a circular stamp. Change some values here, but there's just a stamp, circular stamp there. A couple other features. Let's go ahead and add a flange right here. And with the flange, you could do a full flange, of course, but here we want to kind of add a little control. So you could do some limiting geometry and basically create the geometry on the fly. I'm going to do give it a value there. And I'm just telling it a distance from this edge. And make sure it's going in the right direction. So there it is. Do a quick let's add a quick point on this surface to just center a point on that surface. Oh, sorry, let me set that to 0. Center a point there and utilize that point to put in another, let's put in another hole there. Same size. There you go. Another feature would be a stiffening rib. So I'm going to go ahead and let's place a stiffening rib here on that face. Nice tools, just putting in a few values here. There's a stiffening rib. And the whole time you're working here, you could always check to make sure that the part will flatten. And so there's the flatten command, fold and unfold basically. And I could just go there quickly. Let's just clean this up a little bit. You don't like sharp edges. So let's just take some edges and modify them. Also, hopefully you're noticing how nice the movement is. And that's all due to the 3D Connections controller. Very helpful. Now that we've had that, let's just a couple more cutouts and then we'll call it done for this part. Just put in another hole. And while that hole is there, let's do a quick mirror. There, and then one more cutout, rectangular cutout. Again, I'll notice the context sensitive menus again and how quickly you could sketch things out. And I'm just going to select all of it and just do a corner fillet. There we go. And always go out of the sketch to get into your functions. That's just a cutout. There we go. And again, the whole time I could flatten and fold. So some other nice tools here. If I go into the tools area, I could easily just quickly save this out as a DXF file, to send over to the shop to cut. It'll also colorize the lines to bend and things like that. Another really nice thing is the Sheetmetal process order. Really great tool to allow you to go in and show the order and automate that. Let me just show this axis because this is just the direction that I want the other parts to be created. So it's literally creating new bodies to show the sequence. And I'm just going to go ahead and initialize the sequence. It sees all the necessary steps. You could go into here and change the order around. I want the stiffening rib basically to be the first step. They could punch that and then I could do these other features like all of these cutouts. I could just go ahead and combine those into one step instead of having 9 steps. It's just going to have 5. As soon as I go ahead and create that, it created all those different bodies, these process orders. And if you kind of look out, there's the order. So it shows you how the part is created, just the order that it is created. So really nice there. And then from here, let's just create a quick drawing. 2D draw. I'm going to start with just a front view. With this, you're just required to select the body you want to use for the drawing and then the plane that you want to reference. And there's that view. Let's go in and expand this because I want to also, you have an unfolded view. Of course, with a sheet metal model, you have that unfolded view already there. Same steps, just picking the orientation and moving it out. So there's like our sheet 1. Of course, I could, I have a border, I have a template that I would use. All that is there. Here's, all those processes that I created, all those other parts. Let's just automatically do those drawings, do those other sheets. So I'm just going to pick that component. It's going to say multiple sheet, generate it. Go ahead and hit OK. There it is. It just created all the different views with all the information. So since they were kind of positioned a little bit far, it's going to go in there. It's just a little cleanup of just moving the views into the sheet. But if you kind of take a look at these, it's telling you exactly where to bend, what's the bend radius, all the information that's there for whoever is manufacturing your sheet metal part, but all automatic. One last thing to do here is let's just do, and by the way, all the bodies are showing there. If let me just, so they don't show up in your assembly, you could always just hide those. But there's that. So the last thing I want to cover and show is this quickly, just this assembly symmetry. You know, a lot of assemblies, a lot of components, typically you're going to have a left or right hand side, and you could just quickly mirror instead of modeling everything else here. So notice we need this basically brake assembly on this side, or lever assembly. So I need to make sure I'm in assembly design. I'm going to go into my assembly symmetry. When I click on something, here's a great tool. If I hit my shift key, it's basically a selection area where you're able to go in and say, oh, well, I want to select this subassembly, or the full assembly. So it's just kind of showing you the different areas or makeup of that component. I'm going to actually select this big subassembly to mirror, and I'm picking this plane to mirror about. And there you go. Now I'm in this interface that's really powerful. I'm able to just go in and pick a component. So this component, I want to just use as the same reference. That's not a new part. That's not going to be a mirrored part. So I just select that. Then I could pick this component and use my shift key again to select this little subassembly. And I'm going to say that one is no symmetry. It's not going to be part of what's getting mirrored. I want to leave that out. Again, same thing here. This one is the same reference because that's the same part because it just flipped over. It's just a different orientation, so you could easily change the orientation. These, you know, hardware is going to be the same. The mirror, it is symmetric as well, so that's going to be the same. So that's all nice. And then this part right here, I'm actually going to change that. I have an existing part. So I want to change that to this, let me just do that search again. I'm going to change it to this clutch master cylinder we already have in our library. And I'm just going to browse for that, pick it, and it's now going to use that component. After you've done that, you go ahead and click onto your screen and accept the change. So within, you know, a couple minutes, you have that completely mirrored, and you have a whole new assembly created right here with all the components. So really powerful. So I just wanted, this was just a quick overview of CATIA. There's definitely a lot more tools, a lot more roles in the software that, you know, it would take way too long to kind of cover everything. But wanted to kind of give you a good overview and give you a view of the 3DEXPERIENCE CATIA. If you've used CATIA V5 before, hopefully you're seeing quite a bit of difference. And if you're a SolidWorks user, hopefully you're seeing a lot of nods to SolidWorks. They actually, you know, really did look at SolidWorks and utilize a lot of that interface to help develop this interface. So hopefully that was helpful to you. If you do have any questions, please reach out to me, jquizon at goengineer.com, or just visit GoEngineer. There's a lot of material on the website, and also you could contact us through the website as well. and our phone numbers and emails are all there. But I appreciate everyone taking their time to watch the webinar, and thank you so much. This will be recorded, so it will be available to review in the future. It'll probably be out in a couple weeks or so. Again, thank you so much, and yeah, definitely reach out with any questions. I appreciate it.